Yes, a very good afternoon to all of you. Right, so in our first class, we looked into the syllabus for the subject of the business communication, seeing that there are the 5 units over there, right? And the first chapter over there, which we have, is regarding the introduction to the business communication. And in that, we just had a discussion regarding the meaning of communication, right? We said that it's the process of exchanging, it is the process of sharing your thoughts, ideas, feelings, emotions, concepts, information with the other person. Right? So communicating the information, exchanging the information, sharing your ideas, information with another person. That is the process of communication, right? That's the meaning of communication. Then after that, we talked about the importance of communication, right? So we said that man is a social animal. Then every moment of our life we are required to communicate, right? So that's the question regarding the importance of communication. And it says it's not only the words which you say through which you are communicating. There are lot of other attributes also which are associated along with your verbal communication. That is, we have the non-verbal communication also. And today we are also going to be looking into the types of communication. And then we also studied regarding the process of communication, right? What is the process of communication? You have a sender, you have an encoder, you have a speaker, and then the other hand you have the receiver, the decoder, the listener. Right? And there is a message which is to be sent by the sender to the receiver, and to send this particular message there is a medium which is required, and whether the receiver has understood the message which is to be sent, was intended to be given by the sender, in order to check that, and whether the receiver has understood the message in the manner in which the sender intended. For that very important element of the communication process is the feedback or the reply. And it says feedback is the most important component, because without that you won't know whether you have effectively communicated, or whether there is any communication gap, right? Or whether there is any misunderstanding, whether there is any miscommunication. Right? So what are the 5 elements of communication over there? Right? The sender, the receiver, the message, right? Then the medium of communication, and the feedback, the reply, the response, right? Whatever the interpretation of the message, whatever you could call it as. Right, so now coming further into the discussion of the unit 1, right? Today we will begin our discussion with the principles of the effective communication, right? The principles of, like, these are the, what do you say, the secrets of effective communication. These are the rules of effective communication. This is what you should keep in mind whenever you are communicating. And this is what should be there in the back of your mind whenever you are deciding, whenever you want to communicate with any person, right? Communicate with a group of people, communicate with your boss, right? Communicate with your colleague, right? Communicate with your teacher, right? Any sort of communication. It says these are the principles of effective communication. Right, so what does it say? What are the principles of effective communication? It says there are 7 C's and 4 S. And that's because 7 of the points they start with C, and 4 of the points they start with S, right? So that's why they say they are the 7 C's and the 4 S that helps the sender in transmitting the message with ease and accuracy. Because we said now the entire burden of communicating the encoded idea to the receiver, how you interpret, how you encode that particular idea, that entirely depends upon the sender. And how effectively the communicator, the receiver will understand, that depends upon the sender, right? So it says it helps the sender, right, in transmitting the message with ease and accuracy, right? First it says, and so now we are going to study the 7 S and then the 7 C's and the 4 S, right? So what are the 7 C's over there? What is the first C over there? Credibility. And credibility, that means some people, they have an image, so some of them, they say, some of your friend or somebody says, I have 10 cars, so okay, this person, he bluffs, he just exaggerates, and tell something all imagination, all fake, false information. He'll say, no, from tomorrow there is going to be a curfew in the city, and from tomorrow government is again coming up with one more lockdown. So now this person, okay, he just says anything which comes to his mind, and it's not sensible, it's not accurate. But on the other hand, right, there is another friend or another uncle of yours who tells you, right, regarding, okay, this is the new event which is going to happen, or this is what has actually happened. You say, okay, this uncle, he is a no nonsense person, and absolutely no crap, no nonsense, absolutely sensible, absolutely means if he says it, means it is true. And that type of an image you have, right? So obviously such type of an image would come when there is credibility. If the sender can establish credibility and a genuineness, I can also call credibility as the genuineness of the communication, and a genuineness. Or if somebody, they are saying, no, I'm feeling so bad for you. Oh, why? I'm feeling bad that your health is not good or something. You'll say, what? You are faking. I can understand you have that doesn't make any difference to you. Or if somebody else, when you say, you understand, oh, this person is so concerned about me. Right, so if the sender can establish credibility, the receiver has no problem in accepting the statement, because already now the receiver's mind is open to receive the message from the sender. Or if there is no, this person, whatever he says, not true, then there is no acceptance. There is not going to be any acceptance of the message only. Right, establishing credibility is not the outcome of a one-shot statement. Obviously, it's an image which is created over a period of time. It is a long drawn-out process in which the receiver, through constant interaction with the sender, respects credibility and is willing to accept the statements as being truthful and honest. And that's what I told you, not fake, not exaggerated claim. I have 10 cars. So truthful and honest. So if another friend of yours says that I have 6 cars at home, then okay, this person is very truthful, very honest. So if he's saying 6 cars, certainly he would be having 6 cars at home. But this other friend who is telling I have 10 cars, you say, he just, just says anything. Right, so very important principle of effective communication is to be truthful, to be honest, to say the correct, to say the accurate thing, and to be honest in your communication. That is when you establish the credibility. And it says credibility is not short term. It cannot be a one-shot statement, an outcome of that I said it and you believed it. No, it is a long drawn out process, which happens, the trust is built over a period of time. Okay, it is, you previously you had some experience with that person, and when you communicated and okay, yes, whatever this person says is true. So it's over a period of time, right? So that's the first principle of effective communication over their credibility. Second one, rather all these are very good, important human qualities also, credibility, truthful, honest, integrity, right? Now, second one, courtesy. Right. Once the credibility of the sender has been established, okay, now the receiver knows, okay, whatever this person says is going to be genuine. Now, attempt should be made at being courteous in the expression. Right. So, being kind. So being truthful, that was first one, right? Being genuine, being truthful, being honest, that was the first one. And now being kind in the expression. Right, in the business world, almost everything starts with and ends in courtesy. And whenever you study English, you always study those important words over there. Now, please, please, can you give me a glass of water? May I come in? And you say, come in. You don't say come in only. You just say, ask, may I come in? Or give me a glass of water. Or please give me a glass of water. That please pleases that opposite person. When you say that please, please can you help me with this work? So these are like the magic words. So courtesy. So it says in the business world, almost everything starts with and ends in courtesy. You would have heard, if somebody says, oh, I don't want to do this. They say, this is not your home. You cannot speak like this over here. All this speaking in a rude manner, shrewd manner, all that do at home. Here in office, this behavior is not acceptable. Here you have to be very polite. So courteous, I can also say that being kind, being polite. Okay, much can be accomplished if tact. So you should have a tact of how to talk, how to talk in a very manner which is pleasing to the opposite person, and a diplomacy, right? So being very diplomatic, even though if you want to put across a negative news or some disagreement, you should be knowing how to put your point across diplomatically without hurting the sentiments of the opposite person. And appreciation are woven in the message, because some things you may like, some you may not like, and so you also mention what you like and not only what you don't like, because there might be something which you might also like, so you should appreciate what is liked and then diplomatically state whatever you are not agreeing with or whatever you don't like. Right, so courtesy, right? So being very courteous, being very kind, being very polite, and not being rude, not being shrewd, and not being very upfront. It says be diplomatic, right? Be tactful, right? Appreciation should be woven in the message, and so all this is to be integrated together. Right, next one, there should be clarity. And many a times you'll say that what is this person trying to tell? I didn't understand what you want to say. So you want to go to school today or not go to school today? Like, what is it? Do you want a new bike or you don't want a new bike? And you say, okay, no, actually, everybody is using a new bike, and then this bike is pretty old and now the mileage is low. So, it is better if I have a new bike. But then, actually it's very costly, so expensive. So it's okay if I continue with this bike. Rather, I was thinking I can rather walk down also, or I can use the public transportation, or, I can use a cycle, ride a bicycle. It will be good exercise. But then now I was also thinking, okay, that bike, there is a good offer going on, so I think I should, it's a good time to purchase a bike. So you tell one thing, whether you want a bike or you don't want a bike. First decide and then come and tell. And see, one time you're telling I will go riding a bicycle, I will walk, I'll use public transportation, and then other side you're saying no, it's a good time, I want to buy a new bike, good mileage and everything. Right? So there is no clarity in your thoughts. And one day morning you get up and you say no, from tomorrow I'm going to study. And at night when you're about to sleep you decide all this. No, I'm going to study very dedicatedly and sincerely and all. And morning when the alarm rings, your goals and targets and all your mission and vision of life, it undergoes a change. So clarity has to be there. Very important, what you say, principle of effective communication. Rather, when you're writing your answer paper also, there has to, because you're communicating to the examiner the answer, through your question, through your answer sheet. Right? So there has to be clarity. And at the moment, whatever 3-4 lines you write in your answer, and if you've not studied it properly in writing, the examiner immediately comes to know, okay, the student is just making a story. He doesn't have a clarity. He's not understood the concept. And doesn't know that. Right? So there has to be clarity. And absolute clarity. Look at what they say. Okay, not minimum clarity or good quality clarity or something. It says absolute clarity. Look at the adjective that they've used over there. Absolute clarity of ideas. And adds much to the meaning of the message. Right? The first stage is the clarity in the mind of the sender. So obviously if there is clarity in my mind, that clarity I can transmit it to the receiver only. If I only don't know what I need to speak, then what I will be able to communicate to the receiver. Right? So clarity has to be there in the mind of the sender. The next stage, the transmission of the message in a manner which makes it simple for the receiver to comprehend. Right? As far as possible, simple language and easy sentence construction should be used, which are not difficult for the receiver to grasp. Right? So say you are talking about some particular I'd say balance sheet, and now regarding this balance sheet and regarding the taxes and all, you are talking to a doctor, and you're saying in this section of the Income Tax Act and that section of the Companies Act and this provision of Foreign Exchange Management Act. Now that doctor, what he will understand, he understands surgery, he understands what you say, the diseases, he knows the names of the medicine. Now what he knows, section 138 and section 132 and section 94J, he won't be knowing. Right? So you have to speak in a simple language, and you should know about the awareness of the technical, technical terms by the other person. So if one chartered accountant is talking to another chartered accountant, then might as well you use the sections and you use the technical words. I know, but if now a chartered accountant is talking to a doctor, or the other way, a doctor is telling a chartered accountant regarding what disease or what ailment he is having, he has to explain it in a very simple manner and not using the scientific and the technical terms. It's a simple language. And a simple is the best one. And a simplicity has its own beauty. It is like a wonderful, rather than too much of a flowery and decorated manner to speak, keep it simple. And it directly, up to the point, simple and easy sentence construction. And a very simple formulated, 8, 10 words, 12 words ka sentences, not sentences which are as big as, a third page. Or such, they don't look like a sentence, they look more like a paragraph which has become a sentence. And it should not be. So easy sentence construction should be used, which are not difficult for the receiver to grasp. And so convenient, easy, you should be able to understand. And your teacher, whenever she introduces a new concept, like in school days, like when you studied about solid, liquid, gaseous form, right, they teach you about the different types of trees and animals and adaptation and photosynthesis and chlorophyll and all of those. They teach you in such a simple manner. And teach you in such a simple, they create a case study, they make a story, or they show you a PowerPoint presentation and make it very easy for you to understand. And so simple language and easy sentence construction should be used. Right? So first one, it says credibility. First thing, you should be genuine. Right? Second one, be kind, being courteous. Third one, clarity. Fourth one, correctness. Right? So this again is correlated with your credibility. Right, so correctness. At the time of encoding, right, the sender should ensure that the knowledge of the receiver is comprehensive. Right, so correctness, like what I told you, a CA communicating with a doctor. The level of knowledge, the educational background, and a level of knowledge. Right, so if we say a chartered accountant is talking to an 11th standard student. Now, 11th standard student who is doing commerce might not be a +1 student. He may not be having so much of knowledge of the technical terms. Right, so the level of knowledge, right, the educational background, right, so again science students talking to a commerce or science talking to science, it's going to be different. Educational background and the status of the decoder help the encoder in formulating the message. Right, so whether you need to communicate the message to your boss, whether you need to communicate to your colleague, or whether you need to communicate to your subordinate, accordingly, the status of the decoder, accordingly the formulation of the message would be affected. Right, in cases there is any discrepancy between the usage and the comprehension of terms, miscommunication can arise. And a miscommunication can arise. Right, so like say they say, okay, oh, there is a 25% off. So now what do you think? Yes, if I buy any product, it is 25% off. And if anybody says that, yes, there is 25% off. So what you come to know, okay, on this particular product, if I buy, it is 25% off. And then you go to buy that product and then you say, okay, oh yes, there is a 25% off on it. They say, no. First product, you need to buy it an MRP. And then second product, if you buy, one more product if you buy, on that second product, you get a 25% off. Oh, so then you say, I thought the first product which I buy, on that only I get a 25% off. It says, they say, no, first product you have to buy it an MRP. So if you buy only one product, you buy it at MRP. If you buy one more product along with it, then whichever is the price of the lower product, so if this is 20,000, this is 10,000, the 20,000 full price, and on this 10,000 you will get a 25% discount. Right, so earlier what you thought, okay, oh, 25% discount even if I buy a single product. And then when you wanted to execute the transaction, then you come to know, okay, oh, this is the reality. And then they say if you buy a third product, then on the third product you get a 40% discount. Right, so was there a miscommunication which took place? Yes, because originally what you thought that on the first product only 25% discount. Right, so very important, the usage, the comprehension of terms. So you should be very careful while saying, okay, on the second product, first product is at MRP. Second product, if you buy along with the first product, the lower of the two, on the second one you get a 25% discount. Right, so because you didn't mention on the second product, that is why the miscommunication can arise. Right, the miscommunication can arise. You understand that? Okay. Now, if the sender decides to back up the communication with facts and figures, there should be accuracy in stating the same. Right, so if you want to support it, that say so many people in the country are affected with COVID, or vaccine is going to be provided to first the government doctors and the health line workers, and then the private doctors, and then the people having health issues, and then after that to the other citizens of the country. So then by when the vaccination drive would be completed, if you want to communicate this information to somebody, you want to print an article in the newspaper, because that's also communication done by the journalist, by the newspaper editor. So again, that has to be supported by the facts and figures, okay, based on the data provided by the government of India, based on the data provided by the World Health Organization, or based on the data provided by that particular institute, that particular company which is manufacturing the vaccine, which is manufacturing and providing the vaccine across the country. So obviously, I think, by July it should be done, by October it should be done. Now I thinking is just my imagination, but government of India or that vaccine company saying so, then it is supported with the facts and figures. Right, facts and figures, right? So again, there should be accuracy in stating the same. So many a times, when these facts are given, 60% increase in sales, or 70%, 17% mileage is better than other company product, they always write the source and are rated to be the best airport in the world. So again, who has told that you are the best airport in the world? And so they say based on the survey rating done by so and so, or done by the credit rating done by the analysis of so and so. So they give the source of the data also, so that otherwise anybody will just get up and say that we are the best airport in the world. Okay, but who has said so? Right, best vaccine in the world and a most effective vaccine in the world. So again, it should be supported by the facts and figures. Right, so one, we say it should be genuine, then you should be kind and polite, then there should be clarity. It says absolute clarity, not 10%, 20%. It says absolute clarity should be there. Right, correctness that is supported by facts, information, and facts and figures. You need to consider the knowledge, the educational background, the status of the decoder. Right, then there should be consistency. And like I gave you that example regarding the bike. Whether you want to purchase a bike or you don't want to purchase a bike, one of the two, whether you want a new bike or you don't want a new bike. Right, so the approach to communication should, as far as possible, be consistent. There should not be too many ups and downs that might lead to confusion in the mind of the receiver. Confusion, obviously, if there is no clarity of coming message, then there is going to be confusion in the mind of the receiver. Whether the vaccine is effective or not effective, there has to be the clarity, no creating confusion in the mind of the receiver. If a certain stand has been taken, so particular stand that I want a new bike, stand has been taken, it should be observed that without there being situations in which the receiver is left groping for the actual content or meaning. Right, so it should not be that he says, okay, I understand, but then actually what is the main purpose why you are talking to me right now? What is the main intention? So you should not be left thinking, what was the main point? What were we talking about? Okay, right from you started with the discussion on whether you should purchase a new bike or no, and it went that whether the country should buy new Rafale or the Rafale or so. Those particular Rafale machines or so, whether the country should buy or no, right? Or whether India should purchase any more fighting equipments or any air, any particular air, airplanes or so from Russia or from Germany or so. Right, so now what was the original content, and then what you ended up discussing, that could also be, you might lose the original content of the message. If the sender decides to bring about a change in the understanding, the shift should be gradual and not hard for the receiver to comprehend. So you should be able to sell your point. You should be able to convince the opposite person gradually. And it cannot be, no, I am telling you I want a bike. It can't happen that way. It has to be gradual, not hard for the receiver to comprehend. And I say earlier you decided that I'll take science, and now there is a change in your mind. You say no, physics, chemistry, biology, maths, and maths to theek hai, PCM, physics, chemistry, PCB. You say no, I want to change to commerce now I want to explore the business world. I want to see what is the stock market. I want to see what is all this analysis which is being done by what is this balance sheet, profit and loss. Now I want to explore the commerce world. So now you want to shift from science to commerce, and you want to say convince your parents for the same. So it says the shift should be gradual and not hard for the receiver to comprehend. Otherwise, many a times nowadays the parent face a difficult time, trying to understand what their children actually want to do, what they actually want, what they actually want to do. So confusing. Right, so consistency, very important. It should not lead to confusion in the mind of the receiver. No confusion. Right, so there should not be too many ups and downs. Saying yes, no, not too many ups and downs. No confusion in them. It should not lead to any confusion in the mind of the receiver. Right, then after that, concreteness. Means whatever, again, it is related to, not making, and again, facts and figures, what we studied upstairs, and correctness also. Facts and figures. Here also we had mentioned about the facts and figures. No, here also they are saying the facts and figures. Concrete and specific expressions are to be preferred in favor of the vague and abstract expressions. And also now, like, they always say, goal setting. You have to be very specific in your goal setting. So if you say, I will improve my health. Now, I will improve my health. Now, so now there are so many, it's such a vague expression that you're saying. So how will you improve your health? By when will you improve your health? What all are you going to do to improve your health? What all have you already started doing to improve your health? Have you decided any timelines? Why have you decided to improve your health? Very important, because right now you might have analyzed, that my health is not very good. So why have you decided to improve your health? I have decided to improve my health. And it is saying that, the sun has decided to rise every morning. The sun is anyways going to rise every morning. So it should not be a vague or a very abstract expression. What you say, the economy is getting very bad, or the economy is improving. Now, why you say the economy is getting bad, or you say that the economy is improving? So it has to be substantiated, it has to be supported with the facts and figures. And it has to be supported. So nothing abstract. So don't say anything abstract. Don't say anything which is vague. Where you actually don't know what you are saying, whether it is right or wrong or no. And you're saying tomorrow teacher is not going to come to college. So you say, why you are saying that tomorrow teacher is not going to come to college? So you say, no, I heard her talking to the principal and she was telling that she has some family function and that is why I won't be able to come. So, okay, at least there is some supporting. You say, no, I just thought, today looking at the teacher's face that I don't think she'll be able to come to college tomorrow. No, what logic? No logic, nothing at all. Right, so concrete and specific, you say like anything which is not supported with facts and figures, just abstract, just vague. Concrete and specific expressions are to be preferred in favor of vague and abstract expressions. Right, in continuation of the point of correctness, what we had seen, the facts and figures presented should be specific. I told you, you could also mention the source from where you got this information. Right, abstractions or abstract statements can cloud the mind of the sender. There could be brain fog. When you say, I'm not understanding, on what basis are you saying so? Right, so there has to be the concreteness. Right, so many C's over there. Credibility, courtesy, clarity, correctness, right, consistency, concreteness, and then conciseness. Right, so be brief and concise as possible. So, right, in school days you would have written those answers. No, answer the following in brief, or answer in brief. So in brief means in a condensed format, right, in a summarized format, not elaborating. Not elaborating, not exaggerating, not unnecessarily pulling and stretching the sentences. It says up to the point. Don't beat around the bush. Don't be beating around the bush. Come to the point. Come to the point. Right, so not starting with, that whether you require, you first talk about whether new mobile phone is required or no. Then you talk about whether new laptop is required or no. So now, right now, you have no intention for a new mobile or a new laptop, but you started with discussing about whether new mobile is required, then whether new laptop is required, then you came to the point of the bike. Now directly you should have come to the point of bike only, no? There was no need for you to start first discussing, regarding the mobile and laptop and then coming to the bike or so. So the message should be to be communicated should be brief and concise as possible. Right. VT language definitely sounds impressive. So using very heavy words, very difficult words, it sounds impressive, but people would be suitably impressed into precisely doing nothing. And good to listen, but not good to take any action. So you say, oh wow, oh such a nice thought. But does it put them into action? No. Then what is the purpose of? Then the purpose of communication does not get served. As far as possible, only simple and brief statements should be made. And we had also talked about simplicity up, right? So it has to be simple language, clarity, and a simple language, right? So here also, what does it say? Only simple and brief statement should be made. Excessive information can also sway the receiver. It might distract, it might divert the receiver into either a wrong direction or into inaction. Right, so quantum of information, quantity of information should be just right. It should be just right, neither too much nor too little. You just can't say, I want a bike. That's too little. Okay, I don't want a laptop. Why I don't want a laptop? Why I don't want a mobile? And then why India should purchase the new airplanes or so. After discussing all that, then you come to the point of the bike. Then that is too much. So not too little, not too much. Just the right quantity. And like the other day I had told you, just the right amount of salt in the vegetable, not less also, not more also. So something like that. And just the appropriate quantum of information, just the appropriate, the facts which are relevant to the particular correspondence, to the particular communication right now. Only that much of information, that too in a very simple and in a very brief manner, it should be communicated. And so brief, simple manner, it should be communicated. Right, so that's the conciseness. Right, so that's the conciseness. Right, so what are we discussing? What is the question that we are discussing? The principles of effective communication. Right, so what have we seen so far? The 7 C's. Now we come to the 4 S. Right, so again, shortness. So shortness comes along with conciseness only. And also brevity, yani being brief in your communication, is the soul of wit, intelligence. And if you can put your point across in a few words, then you are very intelligent. Then you are very effective in your communication. And it says brevity is the soul of wit. And that shows that you are very intelligent. You don't speak anything extra, but just up to the point, at the right time, in the right quantity, at the right place, to the right person, you know what to say. Right, so what does it say? Brevity is the soul of wit. Right. The same can be said about communication. So communication also, you have to be very brief. Right. If the message can be made brief and verbosity, you get too many words. What you could have said in just 3 lines, you're taking 20 lines to say that same thing. And verbosity done away with, use of too many words. Then transmission and comprehension, that is transmission, sending the message, and comprehending, that is understanding the message, is going to be faster and more effective. Right? It is going to be faster and more effective. Right? So what does it say? Shortness. And so that comes along with the conciseness itself. And many a times you can't draw a line of difference. Students say, okay, then what is the difference between shortness and conciseness? No, it more or less means the same. They are integrated. They are interrelated to each other. Right. Then simplicity. So again, we've already studied that there should be conciseness, right? There should be clarity, right? So conciseness, clarity. So again, it means simplicity. Both in the usage of words and ideas reveals clarity in the thinking process. And so clarity. Right? So what comes along with shortness is the conciseness. What comes with simplicity is the clarity. Right? So this I can correlate with the conciseness. Right? So simplicity, both in the use of words and in ideas, reveal clarity in the thinking process. So if there is clarity in your mind, then that clarity in your mind, you can transmit it to the receiver, right? To the decoder. It is normally a tendency that when an individual is confused, that there is attempt to use equally confusing strategies to lead the receiver in a maze. So you say you're so confused. Even are you also understanding what you're talking about? Have you used this term? Have you listened to this term? Do you understand what you're talking about? So if there is confusion in your mind, it says equally confusing strategies would lead the receiver in a maze. There is an attempt to use equally confusing strategy. Right? So you confused, your mind confused, you communicate in a confusing manner, and that confusion you transmit it to the mind of the receiver also. Right. Reveal clarity in the thinking process by using simple terminology and equally simple concepts. And that is why you say, oh, this teacher, now this is my favorite maths teacher. And you say favorite science teacher in your school, you used to always say that, because for maths and science, you need to understand a lot of concepts. And you see this teacher with such real life examples in such a simple manner. They explain such a complicated process, how they build the story, how they create the imagination. I understand it very properly. Right? So that means what? There is a lot of simplicity. Not using high fundu words, not using very complicated languages, not using such examples which are very difficult to correlate. Very simple. So easy to understand. Simple terminology and equally simple concepts. Simple terminology and equally simple concepts. Right? So simplicity. So shortness, then simplicity. Then the strength. Now, strength of the message emanates from the credibility of the sender. Like say on the, if I'm not wrong, on 20th of March or something, Modi ji, the Prime Minister of the country, he came on the television and he said that we will be observing a Janta curfew, right, on 22nd of March. And then after that, again after a few days later, he came on the television and then he said now there is going to be a lockdown. Right, so now you know the credibility, you know the strength of the message. If the message has come from the Prime Minister of the country, like say he came on the TV on air, in November some day, and then some 22nd November or some day of November, and then he announced at that time regarding the demonetization, and that the 500, 1000 rupee notes, the existing notes will no longer be under circulation, there will be no value to the notes. Right, so demonetization, right, so the credibility of the sender. So not that you hear from somebody कि नहीं, now notes are going to be, and notes are going to be, notes बंद होने वाला है, they are going to be stopped, and these notes are going to be stopped from using. Some friend of yours, and then there was no hint, there was absolute secrecy, confidentiality of that message. Nobody even had a dream or a nightmare that such a type of announcement would be coming. Okay, right. So now, if just your friend says, no, that like right now for COVID also, there has been news saying that, oh yes, the vaccine has already come. Oh yes, it is already effective. Or no, it is non-effective. You don't know what is the credibility, what is the strength of the message. You don't know. But if the announcement comes from that pharmaceutical company which is manufacturing, or from the government of India, then you know the credibility, the strength of the message. The strength of the message. So now, the principle, there is an announcement in the college which has been put that the exam dates are announced and the exams are going to be conducted from 15th of April. Okay, so now you know the credibility, the strength of the message. Okay, exams are going to be there from 15th of April. Or your friend says, okay, no, that news has come to me, okay, exams are going to start from 30th of April. News has come to me that 1st April, this time exams are preponed, 1st April they are going to there. So you say, on what basis, what logic? Just some rumors, no? This is what we call it as the rumor. A grapevine, false messages, false information, no credibility, no strength of the message. Okay, right. So the strength of the message emanates from the credibility of the sender. Right. If the sender believes in the message that is to be transmitted, there is bound to be strength and conviction in the statements made. Half-hearted statements or utterances, like this, when I listen about half-hearted statements or utterances, it reminds me of the political rallies which take place just before the elections. they travel from state to state, and then there are big sabha, big rallies which are conducted, and such a big public gathering, and then they say water and electricity, and now probably they could add over there COVID vaccine will be provided to all the people and all, so the statements probably they could be just half-hearted statements or utterances that the sender does not believe in, right? Add a touch of falsehood to the entire communication process, add a sense of falsehood to the entire communication process, so it's not truthful, you can't believe it, you don't know how far it is true, falsehood to the entire communication process, so honesty is the best policy, clarity, simplicity, honesty, and it's the all best in even good for effective communication also. Right, and the last one which we have over there, yes, and I know all my students are always very sincere, right? So sincere approach. You should not be having any air, okay, I am going to tell about it. What you are going to tell about it? Just a normal human being here. Be humble, be grounded, be humble, be grounded, be sincere. Whether you are the CEO of the company, whether you are the leader of the country, sincerity, it's one of the best ornament, it is one of the best hat, it could be one of the best tie, it could be one of the best bow that you could be wearing, that you're very sincere. Very sincere. A sincere approach to an issue is clearly evident to the receiver. So again, this sincerity reminds me about the credibility. That really how much concerned you are, how truthful, how honest. If the sender is genuine, that is what I told you, it reminds me again about the credibility and a genuineness. It will be reflected in the manner of the communication. Suppose there is a small element of deceit. Deceit means what? Cheating, falsehood, cheating, intention to cheat. There is some particular false claim involved in the interaction or on the part of the sender. If the receiver is keen and observant, he will be able to sense the or make believe the situation and business transaction, even if going in full swing, would not materialize. So what we call it as the gut feeling, what we call it as the sixth sense, what we call it as the intuition. That person, he's selling the product to you, say some particular vacuum cleaner, or some particular robotic broom, because of these nowadays there is a lot of trend of these robotic floor cleaners also, moppers also. You just it's like a robo, so it just you need to charge it and then tell it to clean this particular room. Water also, you just need to put into it and then it will mop the entire floor, and then after that the cleaning will also be done. Okay, and now that particular salesperson, he is trying to convince you, how effective it is, how people nowadays suffer from asthma and allergy and all of this, and how this product is very effective, it is the best deal. He's saying that you pay so much to the maid and then you just purchase this product one time and then you're sorted for a lifetime. There is no dependency on anybody. So now he's trying to convince you regarding why this is a good buy. But he says, we have so many customers who are absolutely happy and have given a very good feedback about the product. But now when he says that, little bit the color of his face, it changes. Because probably the other day or just in half an hour back, he would have got a call from a particular customer who's already purchased the product, telling him so bad, giving him such a bad feedback about the product. It's such a horrible product. I've done a very wrong purchase. I will never recommend your product to anybody. I'll put a 0 rating to your product on the internet or so. And now he's telling that all our customers are 100% satisfied with the product. And when he says that, the body language of that person, there is a change. So now you guess, okay, this person, he's telling all false, he's not being sincere, and he's just making all any tall claims and false claims and big claims he's making, where he knows actually what I'm saying is not true. And so there is no, but obviously he cannot tell it on his own also. Okay, no, there are people who are not happy with our product, then nobody will buy. But why you said that 100% of our customers are happy with the product? You could have said that give it a try, you will really love this product, you will really enjoy buying this product. You say something like that. But what this is not true, 100% of our customers are not satisfied, then you should not utter a word. And not uttering wrong information, false information, being sincere. and being absolutely sincere. Again, we said now absolute clarity. Again, sincerity, I would also say that very sincere, absolute sincerity, very genuine in your intention, and a very genuine in your communication, and a genuinely concerned, about making ensuring that the receiver understands your communication, right? So sincerity, right? So it's a shortness, simplicity, strength, and with simplicity strength always comes, too much of complication, then there is weakness, so complication and weakness would go together, and simplicity, strength coming together, and shortness and the sincerity, right? And then we also have the 7 C's, right? So these are the principles of the effective communication, right? So we've just addressed, covered one more topic over there, question over there, which is regarding the principles of effective communication. Now we come to the types of communication. So now, we've just assumed any form, any situation of communication, but now we are going to look into the types of the communication, right? What are the different ways in which a person is, in which the sender could be communicating with the receiver, how he could be transmitting the message, right? So one, it says it could be a verbal, and a verbal communication, and a verbal communication, either could be the written communication or it could be the oral communication, and either in writing or it could be oral, right? Written communication or the oral communication. So now on the part of the sender, there has to be the writing skills, and on the part of the receiver, it has to be the listening, the reading skills. So writing and reading, and oral, it will require the speaking skills and the listening skills, and the speaking skills on the part of the sender, and receiving listening skills on the part of the receiver, right? So different skill set required, right? So one, we have the verbal communication, where you make use of words, either you write those words or you say them orally, and a verbal communication. Second, non-verbal, where I don't make use of any words, I don't write anything, I don't say anything, but without that I'm still communicating, without that I am still communicating, right? So that's the non-verbal communication, right? And the third one over there, they say, is the visual, on the basis of not what you are listening, on the basis of what you are seeing, and not on the basis of what I heard, right? But on the basis of what I have seen, right? So that's the visual communication, right? Say it could be some chart, it could be some graph, so it's on the visual communication. Right, then after that, so that's one classification based on the communication channel: verbal, non-verbal, and the visual. Verbal, non-verbal, and the visual communication, right? Verbal, non-verbal, and then you have the visual communication, right? And based on the purpose and the style, based on the purpose and based on the style, it could be the formal or it could be the informal communication. And a formal communication, talking to your boss, formal communication, and talking to your friend over a cup of coffee, right? That would be an informal communication. Talking to your friend over a cup of coffee, that would be an informal communication, right? So formal, informal communication, and verbal, non-verbal, and the visual communication, right? Very interesting part of discussion in this chapter again. Right, so first we are going to talk about the verbal, right? When we speak or when we write. And so I told you the writing skills would be required for the written communication, and here the reading skills on the part of the receiver. And so writing for oral communication, speaking skills, and for the receiver, that would be the listening skills. Okay, right? So verbal communication, it could be oral, what I am saying right now. So right now when I'm teaching you the subject of communication, again I'm making use of both oral also and written also. I am orally, I'm talking to you, and I'm also writing a few things over there. I'm also drawing a few things over there, right? So that's that's the oral written communication. Then also you're seeing it, so it's a visual communication. Right? A non-verbal communication, I'll come to it. I hope all of you are paying attention. And not that I am just there on your screen and you're not paying any attention to me. Not good. And not at all good. Had you been in front of me for a face-to-face class, then I would have ensured that your attention is, then there would not have been any scope for you to look here and there, because the teacher is right in front of you. But right now, I'm not in front of you, but I am in front of you, but not physically. I'm on the screen in front of you, right? So, but I always note that I'm very blessed with sincere students. So I assume, right, that all of you are listening to the classes and paying attention. Okay, right, so verbal communication, the oral written communication, right? So this is like he is writing, written communication, and your looks like some politician giving a speech, or the CEO of the company or the chairman of the company giving a speech, right? So that's the oral communication. Right, so written and oral, that is under the verbal communication. Right, so verbal, where you make use of words, and obviously words come from the languages, right, in delivering the intended message. Right, the verbal primarily refers to communication through the spoken medium, and we talk about spoken English. Right, while categorizing types of verbal communication, the written and the oral forms of communication are both included. So verbal has been further divided under the, yes everyone, the written communication and the oral communication. Right, written communication, right, written, and it says letters and documents, and I told you next unit we are going to be talking a lot about the kinds of business letters, right, email, so sending email, Gmail, I'm sure all of you would be having a Gmail account, right, would be having a Yahoo account or so. And so you would be having an email account, and reports, and we talked about your progress reports, right? It could be the annual report of the company. It's in writing, and a handbook, and regarding this new robotic vacuum cleaner which I talked to you, the robotic mop, the mopping machine, and so handbook, any brochure, and so giving you any information, and regarding any new product, any new particular event, some particular, what you say, program somewhere, brochure. Right, various chat platforms, and so all your WhatsApp, Telegram, and these are the new types of the chat platform wherein you keep on typing, and so typing, that means writing, but writing electronically, and so it's like typewriting, and electronically on the keyboard, SMS, right, the short message service, and any form of written communication between people. And any form of the written communication between people. The written form of communication is essential, and it is essential. Everything cannot be oral, and oral it might be forgotten later on unless and until it is recorded. And the writing, you see all legal documents and everything, all registration of documents, registration of property, and all that is done, all the legal formation of a company, formation of an LLP, limited liability partnership, all this is done in writing. Right? So it is essential and it is indispensable. And you cannot avoid it. You cannot do away with it for formal business interaction. So essential and indispensable. You cannot avoid it, for formal business interaction. So written form is very important for the formal communication. Most important, not that oral is not, but most important, essential and indispensable for the formal business interaction. And a contract, and a company has a contract with a supplier, it has a contract with a lessor, and some property has been taken on lease, and a leasehold contract agreement would be there. There would be a rent contract, and there would be memos which are prepared by the company, and regarding their production process or regarding the employees, right? So some memos prepared by the company, and some list prepared. Press releases, and a company comes up with a press release that we have declared a result, a profit of 24%, revenue is up by 6% quarter on quarter, year on year, right? So press release. And a formal business proposal, say Vodafone wants to acquire Idea, they can't just simply call up and say, oh, we want to acquire you, or say Reliance wants to acquire the Future Group, the Kishore Biani Group, the Central and the Big Bazaar and all of those, and any of their business. Now these formal business proposals cannot be done just over the phone. There has to be an agreement. There has to be the papers prepared for the same. It has to be in writing. And legal instructions. That's what I told you, all the registration of property and so, right? Legal instructions and documentation. Right? So written communication. So everywhere you see a word, everywhere you see something in writing, right, that is a written communication. Right, and the effectiveness of written communication depends on the writing style, how good you are at writing. How good you are at writing, right? The writing style, like there are a lot of writers and authors which are there, like you have Chetan Bhagat, then you have Shobha De, you have Twinkle Khanna, you have Sadhguru, you have yes, BK Shivani, right? You have so many, you have Sri Ravi Shankar, you have Mahatriya, right? So many writers writing in different fields, and a different journalists, different authors, right? You have Devdutt Patnaik, right? You have so many different writers, and you have Sudha Murthy, right? So these I'm talking about the authors or the journalists or the editors over here, right? So their writing style. And so some of you say, oh, this writing style, now I'm bored with it, same thing again and again, similar story, nothing new. Or some you say, oh my god, this writing, now the way this person writes, it really clicks me. And it's like so involving, it is so interesting, I can't stop myself, unless and until I finish reading the entire article. And also writing style, it has to be very catchy, right? Then grammar, incorrect grammar, now it irritates the reader, and it irritates. So today shall be going to, today shall go to, today shall go toing the school. No, today shall going to the school. You say, what English is this? Or today I shall be going to school. Now this seems to be a sensible, kind of grammatically correct sentence. So grammar becomes a big problem, in what you say, irritating the reader and irritating the listener regarding the communication that you want to do. So grammar is very important. Grammar, otherwise the main focus of the message, you happen to get distracted from the main content and the main focus, and you just start getting taken away with the grammar, right? With the incorrect grammar over there, even spelling mistakes for that matter. And writing, receive ka spelling as this. Now a student who is good at English, and so he'll get irritated. He say, and you don't spell receive like that. It is E-I-V-E. It is not I-E-V-E. You understand? No. And many a times the greatness of the people mistakes, they'll write grammar ka spelling only wrong. Grammar. It's not grammar. It is grammar. Grammar. So this is incorrect spelling. So incorrect spelling would also be a very, what you say, not a very effective way of written communication. Vocabulary, you're having good knowledge of words. Now say many a times in a particular sentence, I want to use the word reduce. Example. Now again and again saying reduce pollution, reduce use of plastic, reduce use of water, reduce use of vehicle. You'll say, God, how much you want to reduce? And reduce weight, reduce what you say, consumption of tea, coffee. Now you say every other damn thing, it's reduce. You say in last 1 minute I have heard the word reduce only 30 times. So sometimes you say reduce, sometimes you say, what you say, you could say decrease, sometimes you could say what you say, mitigate. That's again, you're trying to reduce it only by mitigating the risk, reducing the risk, mitigating the risk. Again you reduce by responding, so respond the risk. Or you can completely eliminate, so you can say nullify the risk, right? Nullify the risk. Or if I want to again reduce it further, I can say eliminate the risk, eliminate the use, eliminate, or curb, curb, that is again stop, reduce, curb the use of plastic, avoid the use of plastic. So now see, vocabulary, but you have to use the correct word in the correct context at the right place. And just because you know the word and it's a new word and you are yourself fascinated, okay, I know this word, you want to use it, no, then that is not right. And like generally they use a word called as say cacophony. And a cacophony is what? The sound of insects, and many insects making sound together, that is called as cacophony. So now you can say if there is too much of commotion going on somewhere, to some riots or something going on, or too many people talking together in some event or say, then you can say, oh my God, such a cacophony. and so such a cacophony, that so much of sound, coming together. You're using it as a correlation, just as so many insects making sound together, so many people making the sound together. So there you use the word cacophony. But now, there are so many books in front of you, so saying, oh, there is a cacophony of books. I don't know where, what word you are using here. No sense at all. Where cacophony of books or something, that's not correlated. And you can say an ocean of books in front of me, it looks never ending, something like that, yes. But right word in the right context. But again, not using the same word again and again, having a vocabulary. I think we would be just knowing 2-3% of all the words which are there in the Oxford Dictionary. I think 2-3% would also be very high. When you look at the dictionary and you just look at, what all could be the possible terms, and what all could be the possible words which could be used. And so very important for written communication is having a rich vocabulary. And you should be a very rich person, and rich in terms of the words which you know, and having a very rich vocabulary. And it increases the effectiveness of your communication. But just not, as a show off, using the new words at the wrong places, or which the opposite person cannot understand. In the right context, at the right place, using the appropriate word. Many a times it happens now, I'm not getting that word, what it is called as, okay, that when too many musical instruments are being played together and their sound is merging into each other and a wonderful piece of music is created. That's a word, they call it some word, when collection of music and they all getting synchronized with each other. There's some word, what is that word? Then, symphony. So symphony, and there is a, a wonderful, what do you say, merger of all the music together. That's a symphony of music. Then you say, correct, symphony. So what you had to explain in 2 lines, probably that is explained by the just one use of the correct word, symphony. Right, and clarity, right? So the effectiveness of the written communication depends on the writing style, how you write, what is your writing style. And like say simple, I want to write something and I write it like this, line after line, right? Or say the same thing which I want to write, I write a line, I leave a line again. I write, I leave a line. I write, I leave a line. Right? Then I also highlight the important words in my writing. Now, which is more effective writing style? This A writing or B writing? Obviously, the A writing is more effective. Right? My writing style A would be more effective. Right? So, grammar, vocabulary, and the clarity. Right, so that's regarding the written communication. Now let us talk about the oral communication. Right, now yes, everybody please sit straight. Now let us talk about the oral communication. And so what we speak. Right, so refers to communication through a spoken word. So that was a written word, and now here we are talking about the spoken word. And so there it was the written word. Now it is the spoken word, either face to face, telephonically, or via Zoom. Via voice chat, video conferencing, that's what I'm saying, or any other medium. Now, formal medium like lectures, conferences, seminar, meeting, and informal conversation, friendly gossips, and a discussion, and having a cup of coffee with your friend are a part of the oral communication. So, obviously, oral communication could also be the formal communication, or it could be the informal communication. It could be the formal or it could be the informal communication. Right, effectiveness, but more used for formal communication. What they are saying, essential and indispensable for formal business interaction is the written communication. Okay, right, now what does it say? The effectiveness of oral communication. Here we had talked about the effectiveness of the written communication. Now we are talking about the effectiveness of the oral communication. Depends on the clear speech. So you'll say, now what, if I every morning I get up and every morning, so you say, what do you want to say? Speak clearly. Speak clearly. So clear speech and the tone used by the speaker. Clear speech and the tone used by the speaker. Right, so say, So now we will complete the discussion on the subject of business communication, and after finishing discussing the first chapter, we will start with the discussion on the second chapter. So you'll say, ma'am, and you'll probably try to check the volume of your mobile or something, anything wrong with the volume of your mobile. Or I say, now let us finish the discussion on the chapter. You'll say, ma'am, why you are speaking so loudly? I'm here only. I'm not anyway 10 feet or 20 feet or 30 feet or 1000 kilometers away from you. And I'm here only. And so the tone used by the speaker, and the tone used, even the volume at which you are speaking. And too high, it's irritating. Too low, it will put you down to sleep, right? So it has to be just the right tone used by the speaker. Right, so if I want to tell you that every day you're coming late to class and I'm really not liking that you're coming late to class. So I need to tell you that, see, next time you come late to class, I won't allow you to enter into my class. I won't allow you to sit in the class. Please take a note of that. It is not at all appreciated coming late to the class. Discipline is required to be followed. So if I say it in this manner, you understand that ma'am is really not like the idea of I coming late to class, and I better ensure that I come on time to class. Or I say, oh, you came late to class today. Oh, then what happened? Oh, traffic was there. Oh, you felt sleepy. That is why. No problem. It's okay. I can understand. Very difficult for you to come to class on time. No problem. Even though today you came 10 minutes late. Even if you come 20 minutes late also, no problem. Okay? Come carefully. Come very nicely. Come very peacefully to the class. Now, no, you will say, ma'am, you are telling me in a very diplomatic manner now to come, it's like you're pulling my leg by telling me in such a sweet manner that, I could be coming even 10 minutes or 20 minutes late to the class. And so look at the tone of the speaker. And tone is very important in communication. And sometimes if you say, no, I don't want to eat food right now, your mom will say, you're not supposed to speak to me like that. Okay, please lower your volume. And please lower your volume. Food is kept. You want to eat, you eat, or you can go down to, yes, you can go to sleep. No problem. But this is not how you speak. And please, what do you say? Please mind your tone while you're speaking with me. And unnecessarily, you cannot raise your tone. You cannot raise your voice on anyone. And you should not be. But yes, if some particular employee of yours has not done the work properly or some wrong action has been done, like say a small child, and he's been playing with the matchstick. Okay, now you cannot tell that small child, no, you should not play with the matchstick. You should, what you are doing, you play anything. You can't tell like that. He won't understand the gravity or the intensity of the message. You have to, generally to small children we do, means, this is something very hot. You should be careful. You will hurt yourself. No. And a matchstick, no. You tell, no, burning, like that. So now see how you are communicating. And there is a tone by which how you communicate. You want to communicate any good news that say you've gotten, you've come first in your school. Okay, so now, I came first in the school. To see what is wrong with you. You've come first in the school and why you're telling it like this. And I say, I've come first in the school, yo. So that type of excitement should be there, no? You failed in 2 subjects. Then they say, yay, I failed in 2 subjects. Wow, you can't do that. Then you have to say, then it actually has to come. Now what went wrong? I failed in 2 subjects. Failed, something went wrong, tears coming down. So there has to be a mode, a tone of the communication when you are having the oral communication, like clear speech. And it's सबसे important, whether it is good, bad, whatever news, first thing most important, be clear. And then the tone used by the speaker. Speaking in too high or too low volume or too fast. Too fast. Okay, so now we've studied the principles of effective communication, and now after principles we'll be discussing the types of communication, and after types of communication we'll discuss the barriers and then how to overcome the barriers to communication, and that will complete the discussion of the chapter. Or we have so far completed with the discussion regarding the principles of effective communication, and after discussing that, now we have started discussing the types of communication, and after finishing the discussion on the types of communication, then after that we will start with the discussion regarding the barriers to the communication. Too fast or too slow, no, can also impair. It can affect the communication. It can impair, it can badly affect the communication between people, and it can badly affect, right? So you should not be too slow also, too fast also, not too high also, not too low also in your oral communication, right? So even non-verbal communication, so now little bit in oral they are also incorporating the non-verbal. And this is the verbal communication, written, oral. It says non-verbal communication such as body language. Body language, right? So we are going to be talking a lot about the body language over here. And visual cues, whether you're looking into the eyes of the person or looking down or looking here and there when you're talking. Visual cues affect the quality of interaction among individuals or group. Okay, verbal communication is the easiest, fastest, and the most successful form of communication. Verbal. Verbal means written and oral. So now they are talking about both. It's the easiest, fastest, and the most effective, successful form of communication. Yet, surprisingly, according to research, it comprises only 7% of all the human communication. So how much is the verbal communication contributes to? Only 7% of all the human communication, right? So remaining 93%, it is all coming from the remaining 93%, it is all coming from the non-verbal communication. And so 7% from the verbal and remaining 93% from the non-verbal communication. Now let us have a little bit of discussion regarding the essentials of oral communication. Right, the essentials of the oral communication. Right, so when I'm orally communicating, right, very important over there, your pronunciation. Pronunciation, right? So pronunciation in the context, if I'm writing this word yes over here, when you read it, when it's written and when you read it, you might read it as no. Okay, but now say I am orally talking to you and I'm saying ke now the subject, ke now the subject, ke now the subject. You say, ma'am, what ke now the subject, what ke now the subject? So know the subject. But see, my pronunciation, instead of now, no, I'm just saying ke now the subject, ke now the subject. You'll say, ma'am, what ke now the subject, ke now the subject. And are you understanding that the pronunciation is very, very important to have the correct pronunciation of the subject? Like say I want to use the word statements. Statements, and I'm saying startiments, or startiments, and a financial startiments. You'll say, ma'am, what is this startiments? It looks like some particular different language which I don't know. So I can't say startiments. It is statements. So pronunciation, very important. Again, it will irritate. It will miscommunicate, right? So pronunciation. Then listening and conversation, right? So you have to involve the listener whenever you are speaking, and also the conversation. So it has to be a two-way communication, not a one-way communication. And a grammar. Again, the grammar has to be the correct grammar to be used, and no grammatical errors in your communication, in your sentence formation. Then vocabulary, we've already talked about it in the essentials of oral communication, having a rich vocabulary, right? Noticing language, and also like say sometimes you say attention, So if you say excuse me, so attention, excuse me, that means what? Noticing language. Or you just come and say, okay, so now class is over. So, or you just say, attention everyone, please pay attention to me. Yes, are you all listening to me? The class is now over. Yes, we are done for the day. So now I'm speaking in a noticing language. Or I just come and say class is over. Then probably many of you would not have heard me also, or not even come to know that I've come and said something. Right, so noticing languages, right? Presentations, face to face or video interview, right? So again, whether you're giving a presentation, right? So again, how you need to communicate in the presentation, face to face, right? You're sitting in front of his boss for giving an interview for a job, right? So face to face, or it could be a Zoom call, that is video interview, right? So again, different nitty-gritties involved for each one of them, right? So now we will pick up a few points. So this is just the headings type, and now we will discuss a few of those points in detail. Right. So grammar without pronunciation is like food without taste. And so if you use the correct grammar but you pronounce it incorrectly, like a startiment, so then it is, which says it's like food without taste. So pronunciation very important. Pronunciation is a physical activity and not a cognitive activity. And so how you say the word, it's not just like saying, it says it's a cognitive, lot of multiple skills involved over there. There are muscle buttons in the mouth. And so when I'm speaking with you right now and I'm using the mouth, I'm using my lungs also. Breathing, because the energy supply is coming from there. I require, so when you speak for a long time, even over here, you feel the tiredness. So the lungs, the breath. So after every few words, I need to take a breath after every few sentences. Otherwise, I can't speak breathless with you as such. Right? So mouth, lungs, breath, right? The lips. So regarding the movement of your lips when you're talking, some people, they speak in their mouth like this. You don't understand only what they're saying, right? So the movement of the lips, the tongue. So again, your tongue is moving every time you speak, right? The jaw. And your jaw is also moving. So it's so, directly you can experience it right now when I'm communicating, or even when you are talking. And okay, your lips, your tongue, your jaw, your voice, right? And the resulting acoustic impact happens. And so the overall impact, it happens. And this is not like grammar or vocabulary, which are mental activities. And so grammar, vocabulary, that is what is your knowledge. And but this pronunciation, it has nothing to do with grammar, it has nothing to do with vocabulary, that is already taken care of. Now how you pronounce, right, it says that will give the final impact. Okay, now paying attention to the accent is important while listening. So like many, I've come from abroad, I don't know, these Indians, the different way of living, we in America, we don't live like that. So now that's a different accent, which is being used for communication. So many times, though they are speaking English, that English is also very difficult for you to follow. Right? So accent is important while listening. The popular and widely recognized accents are the British, American, Indian, and the Australian. Different accents of the same language are acceptable as long as they are intelligible and communicative. Rather, if you listen to somebody speaking English in India itself also, you listen to I'm not wanting to talk about any region or community, but just as an example over here, that if you listen to a North Indian speaking English and you listen to a South Indian speaking English, right, their English communication is absolutely, the accent of their English communication is very different. And the accent of their English communication within the country. Why talk about British or America or Australia? Within the country, you listen to a North Indian, a person from North India, rather than saying North Indian, I say a person from North India speaking English and a person from South India speaking English. You find a difference in the accent of their communication, and you find the vernacular, the local language touch in their speaking. And you find that flavor, that similarity in their speaking. You find the South Indian accent over there. You find the North Indian accent in the English communication also. Okay, then exposure to different accents is important in a global business environment so that accents do not become a barrier to communication. right? Because nowadays we are living in a global economy, so many of your clients, many of your customers, many of your suppliers, many of the contracts which you will be having a lot of international association, and are dealing with people from Australia, UK, America, Africa, Spain, UAE, different parts of the world, right? So this particular, you should be very familiar even when an American is speaking in English or an Australian speaking in English, right? So that this particular barrier is not there. Right. There is also a self-repair mechanism. More the usage, better is the repair work done intuitively and is present in every human being. All that is required is to use the language and listen to the intuition, right? So the more and more you speak, the more and more you listen, you become comfortable, you become good in what you do. Right? So it says it's a self-repair mechanism. And then, doing any number of classes for speaking English, or every attempt for reading a book regarding how to speak English is not going to help you to speak English, is not going to help you to communicate effectively unless and until you actually do so. And unless and until you actually start speaking in English, then you realize how you went wrong and how you could have been more correct. It always has to be some day that you gave your first PowerPoint presentation. It always has to be the first day when you gave your video, you uploaded a video on some YouTube channel or so. Right? It always has to be the first time that you gave a speech in front of an audience, or you hosted a particular program. And in that first time, second time, third time, 50th time, there are going to be errors and there are going to be mistakes, and there has to be a self-repair mechanism. And so, like I always say, you cannot read a book regarding how to drive a car. And reading a book regarding how to drive a car, okay, so you get the theoretical knowledge of it. And okay, there is the accelerator, brake, clutch, and then there are the gears, and then there is the steering, and then there are the, mirrors on the side, and then there is a rear view mirror, and then this is how you change the gear, and then this is how the steering is to be controlled, and this is how the horn and everything. You read, say, a 500 pages book, right, regarding how to drive a car. But unless and until you don't sit on the driver's seat, right, unless and until you actually don't press the clutch and you don't start the engine and you don't, apply the accelerator and take your car ahead, right, you can never learn driving a car. It's not possible. You can't read a book. You say, I read the book 5 times. Now I can directly go and drive on the Pune-Mumbai highway, expressway. Not possible. And you'll risk your life in that case. Let's say, no, now I know thousands of words, I know my grammar is so good, I've done 10 classes regarding, how to speak in English and how to be effective. I've read 10 books regarding effective communication. I've done Aarti ma'am's class regarding business communication, and, now I can communicate. Yes, you think you can communicate, that is super, but then actually starting to communicate, that is very, very essential. And then a self-repair mechanism. Okay, listen intently to speak well. A good speaker is one who is a good listener, and it reciprocates. If you're a good listener, you are bound to be a good speaker. If you're a good speaker, you're bound to be a good listener also. Right, as listening happens, the mind subconsciously registers the accents, the voice modulation, right, the fluctuation, the stress. And when I stress on a particular topic, on a particular word, on a particular sentence, grammar and vocabulary, right? So listening is an important segment of learning to speak, just as a child would do. It is essential to listen to the best models of the language to improve it naturally. The more you listen, the better your conversation will get, right? So the more you listen, right, to the speeches, to the words, the more effective you will get in the communication. Okay, so like it happens, no? So when the teacher has taught a particular concept in the class, and say some accounts concept, and that day your friend could not attend the class, and now your friend says that please explain whatever concept I missed that day, and unknowingly, subconsciously, you happen to explain the concept in the same manner in which your teacher taught it in the class. You don't know, not doing it knowingly. You're not trying to imitate the teacher, but it happens unconsciously and without knowing. Okay, right. Spoken grammar and its role in a conversation, and it has to be complete, intelligible, and compelling for the listener to listen, respond, and relevantly and appropriately. Right. So, my little brother loves pasta. Okay, why do you say that? His friend likes pasta, so he also loves it. Maybe he likes it because it's too blunt. So, this is one conversation. My little brother loves pasta. Why do you say that? B is asking, his friend likes pasta, so he also loves it. So he says maybe he likes it because it's too bland and it's very simple. It's not as got very spice or so. Okay. Didn't know you came late. Hannah, didn't know you came late. Pardon? Didn't know you came late. Don't have to, but I missed a good lecture. No, don't have to, but I missed a good lecture. Didn't know you came late. Now, what is this English? What is this grammar? Right, so the first dialogue is from an English textbook, while the second one is an informal dialogue. Right, McCarthy, unplanned conversations are judged incorrect, but spoken English is spontaneous, unplanned, and produced in real time with no opportunity for editing. And so, on real time basis, you have to be speaking. And it's not like written, where you can backspace and you can go back and again edit and write and do spelling and grammar check and all. Right, it's real time, right? Tails or question tags are important and they have a range of function. And a clarifying a comment. It's a picture, isn't that? And so I'm clarifying. It's a picture. Or is it a real picture? Or it's just a picture, isn't that? Express a personal attitude or a judgment of an item. It's a wise move, though. It's a wise move. Good decision you've taken. Fillers and back channels like etc, 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 etc. Ouch! Oh, yay, yup, that don't have any specific meaning. So ouch, oh, yay, yup, that don't have any specific meaning, but rather fill time and allow the speaker to collect his or her thoughts for the conversation. So I say, if I give you an example like, so I'm taking time to think of an example over there. Or I say like, the way red, green, blue, etc, etc, etc. So I mean similar of those types. Ouch means, you're not liking it or whatever has happened or you got hurt or something. Right, group of words and ready-made phrases that one can cut, copy, paste while speaking like sort of, kind of, stuff like that, a bit, a little bit. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. That's that's what I mean to say. I think you understand that types. I mean that whether it is a good idea. So that's what I meant. I mean. So these are also like a group of words. Okay, so confirming, it's a picture, isn't that? Or it's a wise move though, or ouch, oh yeah, yup, or kind of, or a little bit, or I mean, these could be tails or question tags which could be used. Then noticing language in order to emphasize, and noticing language, very important, and to attract the attention of the listener, to emphasize the need for learners to not only notice and analyze features but also to produce these features in their own speech. Yes, can you help me lift this box, please? So that please is the noticing language. Right, oh sure, wait a minute. Or you can just say, oh yes, I can. Or no, oh sure, wait a minute. Right, so noticing language, again, very important part of the oral communication. You have to attract the listener. You have to continuously grab the attention of the listener. Right. Then presenter and presentation tips and techniques. Be enthusiastic and honest. And some people, some motivational speakers, some coach, when they come on the stage, they are electrifying. And it's like if you touch that person at that particular point of time when they are addressing an audience of 1,000 or 2,000 people, it's like you'll get a 2,000 watt, current over there, shock over there. They are that electrifying. They are not their original selves when they are communicating. Right? So be very enthusiastic and honest. And enthusiasm is very contagious. When you look at some enthusiastic person, even you are bound to feel that enthusiasm and that motivation to do things. Right? So enthusiastic and honest, that is credibility, sincerity. Show your passion and connect with your audience. And so how interested you are in what you're talking about. Right? So how connected, then you are able to establish the connection with the audience. Right? So show your passion. Right? So when you see your teacher teaching you the, economics, they are explaining you to you so properly. They are drawing these so many graphs, and then a law of diminishing marginal utility, explaining you price and demand and supply and competition and all. The way they are engrossed in teaching, it feels as if it's a form of meditation for them. Right? So it shows their passion towards teaching of that subject or towards that particular communication. Right? Focus on your audience need, and you have to ultimately transform the receiver, and you have to communicate your message. Right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Concentrate on your core message. Right? You need to make it easy for your audience to understand and respond. Smile. Very again contagious. Smile and make eye contact. Make eye contact with your audience and start strongly. And it is always said that well begun is half done. And so start in a very, in a punch, but start with a punch, and start strongly and tell a story. And so story is a very effective way of putting across your point. Right? So tell a story. Right? For slideshows or PPT, not more than 10 slides, not more than 20 minutes, and use a font size of not less than 30 points, right? So that it's not, straining the eyes of the reader, wherein they have to actually try to see what is being done. And as some people in their PowerPoint, they put so much of content, it's not interesting at all. And so up to the point. Finish, you should always keep your communication small and short over there. Right? So not more than 20 minutes, and then contains not more than the 10 slides. Okay. Right? So this is all regarding the essentials of the oral communication. Right? What are we discussing over here? Right? We are discussing regarding the verbal communications. Right? So we had the written communication and the oral communication. Now we come to the non-verbal communication. And a non-verbal, now no words, no writing anything. Non-verbal communication is the transmission, again the exchange, the sharing of messages or signals through a non-verbal platform, such as eye contact, facial expression, gestures, and a posture and the distance between two individuals. Right? So eye contact, facial expression, gestures, postures, and the distance between two individuals. Right? So like facial expressions, then the way you give a handshake to somebody, whether it's a firm handshake or it is a very just not even trying to give a firm handshake, just like this the tips of your fingers and with which you're shaking the hand. Right? So how firmly, that explains how much of confidence is there in you. Right? So facial expressions. So somebody enters into the room and you make that bad face, or somebody enters into the room and you're like, oh wow, happy. Right? So expression, the brightness in your face, that's facial expression. Right? Body movements and postures. Right? So the way in which you sit for a meeting, the way in which you sit for attending a class, or always sitting like this, or in a very in a very like this, in a very sloopy manner or so. Right? So being very straight whenever you're sitting, cross-legged in a very confident manner. So now see, when I sit like this, it clearly says that it's like you're sitting, you're very confident and you're in a very authoritative position in the organization. When I sit like this, or when in my communication I am rocking, so it says that I'm very comfortable right now talking with you. It clearly indicates that I'm very comfortable right now talking with you. Or I put my hands in the front right like that, and I say, see, this is the point which I don't like. Right? So now this is all what you say. This is all the non-verbal communication. So when I sit like that in a very relaxed, comfortable manner, or if I say, okay, so tell me what happened. So it shows the authoritative position. Or if it's an employee, and then sitting like this, like this, like this. First of all, to not sitting. Then the boss says that please sit down, and then sitting like this in a very, yeah, yes, yes, oh, okay. And now fidgeting, continuously moving from this corner to this corner to this. The chair will break, how much moving, fidgeting from here to here, and then here to here, and then like this, and then, like this doing, and then pen and something, or some, like this, something like this, fidgeting over here or something, or, doing like this, or doing like this, or doing like this, or, doing like this, or something. Bad, very bad. It's not comfortable. Be comfortable, no? Speak in a very nice manner. Have a nice smile on your face. And when somebody enters into your cabin, have a wonderful smile. Oh yes, please come in. Come in. Very bad. You understand? And a non-verbal communication. And a non-verbal communication.